Pruning the withered blossoms on the rose bush is essential for the plant to be able to concentrate its energy and continue to flourish its wild, unbridled beauty upon the earth. On October 6th, we have a new moon in Libra. And while we would normally be very excited about a Venusian ruled new moon, this time, unfortunately, it's not as sweet as we would prefer. That's because the new moon is conjoining with Mars, and it is very exact. This is a very tight conjunction with Mars. The new moon is happening at 13 degrees of Libra in 24 minutes, and Mars is at 13 degrees Libra in 58 minutes. It's a very tight conjunction. Mars is still technically combust at this point. However, within 24 hours of this new moon, we will have a Mars cazimi. So I'm going to cover that in a moment. However, I really feel like because new moons, very often we're so focused on planting new seeds around the new moon that we forget that very often there's something wrapping up. New moons are also opportunities for closure and endings, something that we need to feel more complete about. We need to just like squash something before we can move forward. And because Mars has this quality of defending, it has a quality of severing, it really feels like the ending theme is really implicit in this new moon. And that's just one reason why. But it really feels like in order to have that Libran sense of beauty and everything and harmony and balance that we crave, something needs to go. Thinking about this alongside the Mercury retrograde that's also happening in our Libra house, there is a lot happening with Mercury in that square to Pluto. We're doing some excavating, we're cleaning house, we're healing. And so Mars conjunct this new moon is saying that maybe there's something that is requiring of us to be a little bit tougher in the first place, to be confrontational about something that makes us feel deeply uncomfortable, something that is there's a thorn in our side that just won't go away. Libra tends to be a very topical sign. It's very much on the surface level, like it's an air sign, and we want to charm people. And Libra, we do this thing where I'm just gonna give us away, aren't I? But it's like we do this thing where you're like, I want that person to like me. And then once you know that person likes you, you're like, okay, and then I can move on to the next person. And it is just this weird thing about being a Libra. But very often we're on the surface. And so there's like this sense, like, if we just pretend like everything is okay, then it eventually will be. And I know that some people adopt that attitude in life. Right now, this new moon and some of the other aspects going on right now seems to reflect that that's no longer doing it for us. There's something that is demanding our attention that's maybe painful, or something from the past with the Mercury square Pluto thing. Or there's some kind of discomfort that needs to be addressed head on in order to have that sense of inner peace and inner balance, and for things to be able to progress down the road. Mars is inviting some sort of confrontation, some sort of directness. Now, Mars doesn't have the easiest time being direct in Libra, not always, but if Mars is getting into the action in order to bring peace on both sides, then that's a really eccentric, kind of unique way to kind of steer this Mars. So there's something about broaching an issue, like approaching an issue, not with a way that not with the intention to harm, not with the intention to create ultimate harm, but with the intention to create peace. Now remember, Mars is going to enter that cazimi phase within 24 hours of this new moon. It's still new moon phase. The moon, just visually speaking, yes, the moon is new at exactly 7:05 a.m. Eastern time, but we are in a new moon phase for a couple days on either side. So the fact that Mars is going to enter this fire of purification, and their ideals are just like kind of real pure. I think that Mars really has this intention of confronting something so that we can have peace or letting go of something so that we can have eventual peace. It's not going to feel good at first. It's not going to feel good at first, but hopefully down the line, it will continue to pay off. I'm reminded of last year, I was trimming my rose bushes down to concentrate their energy for the winter. And I ripped and I dug a thorn right into like my tendon, and it was so painful. But it was like the work of excavating it made for beautiful blossoms this year. And that's just a really mundane example. I mean, I'm sure that we know what the Libra topic is, where our Libra house is. And if you're a member of my Patreon, I'm going to go through, and you're watching this now, then we're going to go through for per sign, and we're going to cover that Libra new moon, but also the Mercury retrograde in Libra. So we know exactly where the excavation is happening, where we're reconfiguring, where we're renovating. Because again, Libra is aesthetic. There's something about cultivating beauty, but we have to demolish something first. Quite literally, I'll share, I have Libra on the cusp of my 4th house, and we just demolished our kitchen so that we can eventually have the kitchen that we want. Luckily, my husband's doing a lot of that, but yeah, it's chaos right now. It's uncomfortable. It's making meals is hard, especially with a 1-year-old in the house. And so yeah, it's like we have to go through this discomfort now so that we can eventually have the balance and the aesthetic that we want. So yeah, you probably already know what your Mercury retrograde / new moon story might be about. But yeah, and then we'll also have a Mercury Cazimi here in a couple more days. So lots of realizations are coming in, but also endings is a big one. The new moon is ruled by Venus in Scorpio. So this is hard because Venus in Scorpio is very energetically attached. Once Venus in Scorpio is committed to someone, these energetic bonds are formed, where if you've ever been so close with someone that you can feel them, or you're thinking of someone and they call you, that's kind of a psychic, very intimate, very close kind of Venus and Scorpio kind of bond. Meanwhile, Libra is an air sign. So it's kind of like this head versus heart thing. And I think that we may be experiencing, just quite literally with Libra season bringing up a lot of relationship themes, and with Mars being like a severing, it might be a time for some people where we are letting go of a significant relationship for one reason or another. There's some sort of ending, or there's some sort of confrontation, or there's an ending of some kind within the cycle, within the dynamic. There's some sort of thing that needs to be confronted or addressed. And and with Venus in Scorpio at the last degree of Scorpio, Venus is just minutes from that anaretic degree. There is a significant letting go. Venus in Scorpio is trying to hold on. She doesn't want to let go. Venus in Scorpio is fiercely loyal. So there's something that we feel very loyal to, that we feel very connected to. And yet at the same time, there might be this need to walk away. So it can be really challenging. I was recently reading a post, and this is from a person on Instagram, and it was at Therapy for Women. And they say that it's common for us to feel conflicted about leaving a situation we consciously know we need to move on from, because no one is 100% good or bad. And there's that element that, of course, drew you in and had you fall in love with the person or the situation to begin with. And you can know that it's your time to move on for your own well-being, for your own personal growth. And it's still very hard because you're still very connected energetically to that person. So that could be a little bit of the dynamic going on right now. Venus is also headed into a conjunction with the South Node, which is also an element of letting go. So we're seeing a huge theme around this Libra new moon around letting go of something or confronting something difficult so that we can have eventual peace, probably in our relationships, but maybe elsewhere in your chart, or in your life, depending on where Libra is in your chart. So yeah, and then also, maybe these complexities really aren't your cup of tea. All good. I mean, it might be if you're here, because that's the kind of tea I drink. But but also you could just be feeling the motivation of this Libra new moon. You really could. Like Mars could just be motivation, putting a little pep in your step. That we're about to get a renewal here. So while we're having a Libra new moon, Mars is going to enter the heart of the sun and kind of have its own new moon too. So maybe we're developing new goals. We're getting excited about something we're eventually going to do. Mars is still a little tired at this point in time. Mars is feeling a little exhausted. You can learn more about that in my Mars Kazemi video, but there's something eventually that we're going to be taking action on. But that idea, that vision, that seed of potential is maybe being planted in the psyche right now. And maybe it's a collaborative project with Mars and Libra. Maybe it's a co-creation of some kind. So yeah, that's a little bit about the Libra new moon. I wish it was, I wish I had like nicer news to report about it. But of course, Libra new moon is about making peace. Libra new moon is about putting emphasis on our relationships, and it is about creating beauty wherever we go and finding a way to have more of that in your life. But Mars is just saying there's just some brambles we have to cut through first before we can have that. We might get a few pokes from the thorns, but we're going to have a beautiful bouquet of roses when we're done. So that's a little bit about the Libra new moon. If you're a patron, please stick around. And if you're not, I still love you and really appreciate you being here. And I love hearing your comments and reading them on the YouTube and on the Instagram too. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today. For more astrology in your world, you can connect with me on all platforms at AstroCatherine, or visit me at my website where you can book your next reading, and I look forward to discussing your chart with you in more detail.